And now it's time for the special guest portion of the show, which I've been so excited about. Have you ever been to an absolutely incredible festival or show which was put on in the community by the community? And you've wondered who sets up these events? How do they find these acts? Who are the incredible people whose life and career it is to provide the community these amazing gifts? And listeners, I am excited and beyond honored to have special guest Josh Stoltzfus, the Director of Cultural Development for Arlington County, on the show with me today. Say hi to everybody, Josh.
Hey, thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. It is an honor to have you here. And let's find out more about you. Let's jump right in. Tell us more. Tell us who Josh is, and tell us about Cultural Director for Arlington County.
Yeah, right. I guess so. I'm in maybe phase 3 of my career at this point. I started out as a musician, and that's what I grew up playing. I went to music school and guitar player and playing music for years, and I was always playing in bands and working in music. So I was working for like Rounder Records when I got out of school. I had spent some time with booking and management companies, but it was always like a split thing. So I was playing music and then like trying to make a living in the music business during the day.
Wow, which isn't an easy thing.
No,
Okay.
Neither of those things really. So at some point I went back to school, and then I transitioned into my career as a presenter, an arts presenter, and working for different festivals, nonprofit organizations, and then ultimately found my way to Arlington County.
Wow, very cool. And so now in Arlington County, tell us what it means to do what you do.
Yeah, so Cultural Affairs Division, which is where I work, is we provide material support to artists through grants and space and services. We have theaters that they can use and production support. We have a really strong public art program. We have humanities-based work. We just wrapped this incredible project about Vietnamese immigration here in Arlington.
Wow.
With a publication that was capstone for the oral histories that have been collected over the years. We have strong visual arts representation. We just got approval to have an art truck, which is going to roll out next year and be basically a mobile artist in residence space. So we'll have different artists that'll go out in the truck and bring art projects directly to the community. Kind of a unique program. For next year, we'll start doing that, and we do a fair amount of presenting too. So we have a summer concert series that we do out at Lever Run Amphitheater, which is outside of Ballston, and we're involved in a couple of festivals. The Roslyn Jazz Festival, which we just wrapped about 2 weeks ago. It happens every year in September, and we've been working on the Columbia Pike Blues Festival as well. And we have a Global Phonic Music Series, which is contemporary international music. So.
And it sounds like it's a lot of music and art too. What would you say? How much of what you do is about the music, and how much is about art or visual arts, or is it a good spread? How is it?
It's a really good mix, and I would say, in terms of the stuff that I am most directly involved in programming, it's a lot of music. But the team that I work with, as I said, has got their hands in all this other stuff: visual arts, humanities work. I work next door to the public art program, so I see all the stuff that these guys are into, and our worlds cross over on things too. So it's a good mix. But yeah, you're right, there's a fair amount of music, and I think it plays to, like all the stuff that we do, it plays to the strengths of the people that are working there. So that happens to be what I do, and so we end up doing a lot of music.
And how, if folks are listening and they want to be involved with Arlington County with some of the music, whether they want to, like if they're a musician and they want to potentially perform out at Lever Run, or if they're fans or music fans that want to come check out some of the events, where do they go for that stuff? How does that work?
Yeah, sure. So like as a musician, if you're interested in doing a show, working with us on something, just reach out to me directly. I'm on the county website. You can go to arlingtonarts.org and find my information there.
Okay, I'll post the links to that stuff on the show for folks that are listening.
Just email me, and hardly anyone does this anymore, but yeah, please don't send hard copies.
Okay, no CDs, emails.
Yeah,
emails
I'm actively
are preferred.
trying to
Okay.
get rid of all my old CDs, and so electronic stuff, please. And and I try to listen to everything. So by all means. As far as like going to shows or participating in programs and all the other stuff, we're on arlingtonarts.org. We're on Facebook, of course. Facebook is probably the best way to stay up to date with things as they're rolling out.
Got it.
So definitely like us there, follow us there. We have an e-newsletter, sign up, check it out. And we're fairly active. I'd say there's probably, on any given week, we've got at least one thing going on. Sometimes in the busier seasons, we've got 2-3 different programs that are happening in a week.
Got it. And so there's seasons, like the summer season's
Sure.
busier than the winter, I take it?
Yeah, a bit busy in the summer, and the fall is a little slower, and spring, we take off. We're kind of on an academic calendar, but with a summer session.
Got it. Okay.
But December, January definitely slows down for us.
Got it. Around the holidays too, that makes sense. And it's a little cold outside, so all the stuff has to be indoors anyway. It makes sense that it picks up during the summer with the seasons. So now, over the years, you've been at this music thing for a while. What? Tell us your connection to music before you got into it from the booking and the cultural development side. What you played instruments? Tell us about that.
Yeah, so I'm a guitar player by training. That's what I grew up playing in garage bands in high school or junior high actually. I was playing at 12, 13 years old, playing clubs and stuff at 16, sneaking in and all that. And,
wow. All right.
Did that all throughout college and afterwards as well. Played a lot of roots Americana music, interested in, really into the blues, rock music, which I grew up on, and I have a pretty wide interest: jazz, international stuff, honky tonk. There's not too much
Wow.
I don't like.
Got it. And playing the stuff first, and then you transitioned. How long? Do you still play guitar now, or on the side, or with the kids, or how does that?
Yeah, it's like so. It's kind of the audience now tends to be more the dog and my toddlers at home.
The best audience.
Yeah,
you can't do anything wrong with them.
They dig it. I still play a little bit. There was a time where I was more transitioning, and I was playing still more regularly, but now it's pretty rare. But I get out there maybe 2 or 3 times a year and do stuff.
Gotcha. And so now, in the history of all of this cultural development and this stuff, let's say with Arlington County, what's your proudest or coolest moment that comes to mind when you think back on what you've been doing with the county?
Every show and every program is kind of unique in its own way, and it has its own satisfaction. And for me, it's about that moment when all the work that goes into the advance, from discovering something to planning to all the logistical details, and then you finally get to it, and to see, and people come to it, and you're like, oh, this is, we're not doing this in a vacuum. There's this whole audience that finds the shows and the programs, and to see that reaction, So I rarely sit in the audience. I tend to sit in the back because I want to watch the audience reaction to what's going on stage. And to me, that's the payoff, really. And I've had a unique opportunity to meet a lot of really amazing people over the years, and almost none of them have disappointed. They say don't meet your heroes, but I've never had that really bad experience.
That's great news. I love it. And I gotta say, in the DC area, there's definitely some amazing people that are involved in this music scene, and even from outside, I just really genuinely awesome people that I've met. It's kind of cool to meet them and see them for real.
Well, that's the thing too. Thinking a little more about your question, being proud about some of the stuff, is that when you're able to grow with an artist, and so maybe you're working at a new festival or a new venue, and you take on working with someone who's also just getting started, and you're able to grow together, and that what they do helps you and your program, and vice versa, you're helping them as well. So that kind of mutual support and community is a unique thing.
Yeah. So I want to jump forward here to what's about biggest lessons you've learned with what you do? Is there something that stands out as far as a lesson learned?
Yeah, a couple things. I'd say one is, and it's not a unique sentiment, is that to trust your gut, and that like usually your first reaction is a good one. If you have to think on it too long, if you have too many questions about an artist or a program, at some point you just got to go. Now we're gonna move on at this point, because at that point you're sort of trying to talk yourself in. You see the issues in front of you, and you're really just trying to talk yourself into it for whatever reason. And I usually find that that's a good point to say, we'll pick this up at another time, and maybe do it some other time.
Trust your gut. Okay, I could definitely. Man, and that advice seems to just keep coming back all through life. At the trust your gut thing. I guess I'm really curious now about doing what you do. Does all the music come to you? How do you find your music? For what I mean, obviously for work you said people email it to you, but how else do you find your music?
So, it's changed over the years. Obviously, it's a lot easier, being able to use the internet to find new music.
Yeah.
But it's also harder too, because there's so many resources. You have to find that filter, in which otherwise you just get totally lost in it. So there are certain benchmark stuff that I always fall back on. Like I was just, like everybody, I was listening to the All Songs Considered podcast earlier today,
Yeah.
and I try to check that out, or some of the other NPR stuff, like All Latino as well. That mutual, or rather that conglomeration of network of friends and colleagues too. So like I try to ask everyone I know, or make a point when we're talking, whether it's an artist or another promoter or somebody, just what are you listening to? What's new that you're digging on?
Yeah.
And that's often some of the best leads for stuff, because you can't hear everything, and and likewise, so try and lean on each other and find stuff. I think musicians are often really good resources for that, because they're on the ground, they're hearing so much stuff, and I find that like if another musician has something positive to say about another band, that's a really good endorsement.
Absolutely. And with the radio show too, like I'm a local musician and I hear it here, and I obviously with the radio show I'm connected with a lot of music, and it really, musicians are a great one. If you want to have a really fun conversation, talk to a local musician about great music in the area, because they always have great stories and songs to share, which is, I mean, heck, that's part of how this radio show exists, that very reason. And one of the last question that I love to ask on these interviews is, if you had one piece of advice you would offer to DC area musicians, and one piece of advice to DC music fans, what would that be?
Just one?
let's go with the highlight. Yeah. Give me one, and we can. I mean, you're allowed two if you just die in. But
No.
yeah, let's stick to what's the one that comes to mind.
I think the one, and I'll say this as a musician myself, and as someone who came up playing in bands, and and knows the hustle, and what you go through to get gigs and try to keep it just moving forward, is for musicians, just make sure that as much time you're spending on your art, spend the same amount of time on your business.
Whoa.
And specifically the marketing aspect of your business. So pay attention to all of those things. And it doesn't mean like, the old days were like, oh, you gotta have your headshot and this and that thing. It's just be super conscious about how you're presenting yourself to your audience, to other clubs, or whatever it is that people you're trying to connect with, and work on that as much. That's as important as the music, and I know that's maybe not the most art-friendly sentiment, but it is the reality, because if you can't get in the door, or if you can't distinguish yourself in some way, it's not going to matter that you've got the greatest band in the world.
Right. And that's a great one. So spend as much time marketing as you do on the music, and then you'll get the more well-balanced thing. And what about to the DC music fans?
Support local music.
That's it. Favorite way that you think? What would you say if you're supporting local music? What does that mean to you?
Well, I mean, and so we're talking about DC music specifically, right?
Yes,
But
DC area,
this is universal, of course, and it's. I mean, now with the changing economy, it means going to shows because there's they still haven't figured out the new way so that everyone's getting paid for their recorded music, and hopefully
true.
that will become a viable revenue stream again for folks. But in the meantime, go to shows and buy the merch. Because that's really how the bills get paid. You want to help a band out, have one less beverage at the show, and put that money into a T-shirt or something, and that's you can really support the musicians that way.
And I can honestly say it is an awesome feeling when you walk out of there and you found out that 3 people walked out with shirts, 10 people walked out with shirts, people bought koozies and CDs. That feeling that they enjoyed it and they took that music with you. Boy, DC music fans, if you pick up some merch, that's definitely an awesome thing.
For sure,
so,
yeah.
Good stuff. So now, with every guest that comes on the show, I always challenge them to bring me awesome music. And Josh delivered tenfold on that request. So I am so excited to share the music that he brought with him. So let's start. You said the Harry Bells. What's this first track you've got for us?
Now you're gonna have to remind me what I brought. Was it Matilda?
Matilda is the yes.
Yeah, right on.
All right. So here is the Harry Bells with Matilda. Sweet. Oh. Bye guys. You're awesome.